Welcome to the SPSS tutorial video for comparing group means with Anova. In this video we'll be covering one-way Anova with 2 levels, one-way Anova with 3 or more levels including post-hoc tests, and two-way Anova. We'll begin by looking at the data set. We're using the therapy data that we've used in previous videos, and the variables we'll be using today are depression, I'll expand this label, depression at time 2. We'll be using the therapy, whether they are in therapy, yes or no, 0 and 1, as well as which therapy group people are in, whether they're in the control or no therapy, CBT therapy, or humanistic therapy groups. The first analysis we'll do is a one-way Anova with 2 levels. In this case, we'll be looking at the effect of the therapy variable with 2 levels, yes or no, whether they're in therapy, on the depression variable. Under Analyze, we'll go to Compare Means and one-way Anova. We'll include our depression at time 2 as our dependent variable. Then we'll include our therapy variable under our factor. We also want to go to the Options menu and ask it to report our descriptive statistics. When we click OK, we see that we get our descriptive statistics, the mean depression at time 2 for those who are not in therapy, as well as our mean depression at time 2 for those who are in therapy. And we get an Anova, or an F test, with significance value to show us that there is a statistically significant difference between those who are in therapy and not in therapy. As you'll notice from the previous video, this F value is the exact same as the T test with independent samples. This is only the case when we use a one-way Anova with only 2 levels. So what happens when we have more than 2 levels? To look at this question, we'll come to our one-way Anova. Instead of having our 2-level therapy, we'll ask for our therapy type, which includes CBT, control, and humanistic. Again, we want to make sure that our descriptive statistics are included. And unlike with 2-level, we'll be going into the post-hoc command and asking for our LSD or our Bonferroni, whichever method your instructor requires, post-hoc tests. When we scroll down in the menu, we get the means of depression at time 2 for our control, those who are not in therapy, for those who are in CBT therapy, as well as for those who are in humanistic therapy. Our F tests tells us whether there is a difference between any of the 3. And down below, because we requested our post-hoc tests, we see the pairwise comparisons between all groups. That is, the comparison between control and CBT is statistically significant. The comparison between control and humanistic is statistically significant, as well as the comparison between CBT and humanistic is statistically significant. In this case, we have a main effect for therapy, and all pairwise comparisons are different. Now that we've seen how to look at Anova, or analysis of variance, for a 1 variable with 2 levels and 1 variable with 3 levels, let's look at how to use Anova with more than 1 variable. Both will be between groups factors. Under the Analyze, instead of going to Compare Means, we'll go to the General Linear Model with Univariate. In this case, you see more potential boxes to fill with variables. Our dependent variable will remain depression at time 2. Our fixed factors is where our independent variables go. Here let's use therapy type, again our 3 levels of therapy, as well as participant sex. We also see several more options. To get post-hoc tests, we can either go to the box that we did before. In this case, I won't choose that. We can also go under Options, and in addition to including our descriptive statistics, we can select over each of our variables, including the interaction term, and compare the main effects. This also generates the same post-hoc tests that we would have gotten before. Let's also include our estimates of effect size, and continue. If I run this model, we see first that we get our sample size for those in the control group, CBT group, and humanistic. We also see sample size for participant sex, how many males and females we have. In addition, we get descriptive statistics, or mean depression scores at time 2, for males in the control group, for females in the control group, males in the CBT group, females in the CBT group, as well as males and females in the humanistic group, and our overall averages by gender accordingly. For our tests of between subjects effects, We can see the main effect of therapy type, which is statistically significant and has a strong effect size. We can see the main effect for participant sex, in this case called female, which is not statistically significant. We can also see the interaction between therapy type and sex, which is also not statistically significant. We can scroll down below under the section called Estimated Marginal Means to examine our post-hoc tests. We see the estimates, or the means, for the therapy types and the specific comparisons between them. This is very similar, as you'll notice, to our one-way Anova, except that it controls for participant gender. We also get participant sex means and the direct comparisons between them. In this case, there's no overall difference between males and females. Lastly, we see the interaction between therapy type and participant sex. We see the means for males and females within each therapy type, which are not statistically different as indicated by the F-test. In this video now we've seen one-way Anova with 2 levels, one-way Anova with 3 or more levels, as well as a two-way between subjects Anova.